Hi everybody, this is Carrick from Angry Centaur Gaming, and today I'm proud to bring you the review for Dark for the Xbox 360. Dark. That's sort of a play on the fact that the game is all about dark and stealth, and that's about as complex as this is gonna get. In Dark, you play a vampire, or a man that's just become a vampire. At least that's what the cutscenes tell you, and I don't mean hint at, and I don't mean show. I mean they fucking physically go out and they tell you exactly what's going on. These guys do not understand subtlety at all. It's like if you hung out with Jack Nicholson and he told you you liked young girls, you'd be like, well, no shit. I compare it to heart surgery with a sledgehammer. It has the chance of working out, but it's probably going to end up like a bad Gallagher act. On the other hand, these guys made Dungeon, and that sort of is like saying their last game was bad. Actually, that's exactly what it's like. Though they also made Mud TV. Okay, that's not helping them. So let's get to it, Nosferatu. So graphics, it's slightly odd that devs chose cel shading for the graphics, not because they look bad, which they do, but instead because cel shading here shows that it doesn't overall fit the game world, at times dark and sinister, and other times just out of place like Gary Oldman as a hood ornament. Dark's choice for overall graphics style is just sort of ill-fitting, though not necessarily bad nor good. It's like going fly fishing for a great white shark. You made a choice that fit the overall ideal, but for all intents and purposes, it's the wrong one and it's going to bite you in the ass. It's not all bad, but if you ask me to find something good, I wouldn't be able to, so what does that say? Also, these guys use bloom like Madonna uses power yoga to stunningly bad effect. And with cel shading, you're always going to run into the issues where it sort of removes some of that texture detail, and that happens here, and what you get is soulless, plastic-looking, probably Xbox One, sometimes early gen Xbox 360 looking characters, and a world that just isn't visually interesting or engaging. Just basically imagine digital mannequins, because that's pretty much what you get, and I'm going to cover the other little bit of why they appear like mannequins later. But you have low textures, and you have that overall plasticky look that you get when you put cel shading in a game, and unfortunately they wasted the excellent atmosphere of an old style RPG like World of Darkness, that game world, that style of game world, and they ended up just throwing it away. They also have some frame rate hits, which is sad as fuck, because that would be like having a tricycle and then also putting training wheels on it and still not being able to ride. Now, gameplay. As I said before, you're a vampire, you're going around doing vampire-y things, you got tons of skills you can buy, you got all this, you know, there's a lot of like behind the, I guess you'd call it behind the scenes atmosphere that you could sort of feel within the game. Unfortunately held back a little bit by the graphics, but the control itself, there is leg up in this bitch. That's the only way I can describe it. At times it's easy to control, and at other times it's frustratingly hard. The game acts like a drunk sometimes, making sense, and other times puking while saying I love you. It's crazy in that way, and its feedback for the overall control mechanisms is fairly shoddy. And for the most part, though at other times it seems like it works fine, for the most part you're confused. I spent more time confused over why an enemy heard me once but not the next time, or why an enemy saw me once but not the next time. Skills make it harder for enemies to see you. Some skills do, but some you don't know if it's working in the first place. So it's sort of like guessing already anyway. So do you guess and buy more of a skill that might be working possibly, or do you go with the tried and true skill that's more aggressive like an attack, but seem to actually impact the gameplay? Of particular note are possibly Titanic-sized hitboxes on the enemies. It's ridiculous. Though it is funny to put somebody in a chokehold even though they're 3 feet away, while you're choking air and they're struggling against nothing. Imagine getting inside a hot air balloon and trying to steer it by shooting fucking BBs at the side of it. That's sort of the way the control was in this game, and that impacts all that gameplay through and through, and just makes the skills and everything else that should tie in that much more confusing. Really, really odd design choice when it came to them basically spending the QA budget on donuts. That's the only thing I can figure out. Sound and music. Music is okay, though not great. There's some songs in particular areas that are good and fit the mood. I mean, there are many here and there that I sort of liked, but it's more non-intrusive than abusive and more forgettable than regrettable. It was just sort of blah. But the sound and the voice acting and the sound. If you guys follow me, you know that I did Fast and Furious Showdown, and I ripped them a new one for what can only be described as the worst voice acting that I've ever heard. Well, the cool thing about Dark is they basically took that as a challenge and decided to see if they could do worse. And bravo, that's the sound of me clapping, people, because they regrettably succeeded at making possibly the worst voice acting I have ever heard. These are rambling golems walking around the world, speaking through a Stephen Hawking text-to-voice interpreter. It is so monosyllabic and robotic. It is unbelievable. It is, I am a vampire. You are a vampire. Together we are two vampires. Fuck. Whoever the audio director was who had to handle the emoting and get these voice actors to work, I'm assuming he's dead. Because there's no chance that somebody alive couldn't have fallen down and hit the record button and done a better job. I mean, shit, you give me an old 8-track tape and some scotch tape, and I'll make better voice recordings than these. Now, when playing games, I'm always thinking of things they could have done better or things I would have liked, because sometimes my review doesn't agree with other people's, so there might just be something I dislike or like. And I'm always thinking along the lines of, like, if I was talking to the developer, what I would do. First of all, I would drop the cell shading. It works in various games. It could have worked here, but I'm not sure if it's the design of the world and the characters or what, but if you drop the cell shading, it might have actually been easier to accept the overall game world and been enveloped in that atmosphere. And fix the fucking control. Either this game has the largest dead zone in the control, or the animation has some serious issues. It goes from full stop to drunken Nosferatu lurch in milliseconds, and it feels and looks really off. And fix the voice actor issue. Just either find a director who can handle that and get some emoting out of the voice actors, or go ahead and decide to go fully with robots. Also, bone up on your AI, because the I in AI stands for intelligence, and yet they only got the artificial part right. Imagine bad guys that are 3% human, 97% starfish. The fuckers move like they're walking in gelatin and have a stunningly high chance of trying to stare you to death versus shooting at you. But then watch out when they do decide to shoot at you, because they have unlimited bullets and the accuracy of a cranked out Robin Hood. So what do you get with Dark for the Xbox 360, PS3, and whatever the hell else it comes out on? Summary, summation, breakdown. Coming up next, it's a vampire game, and it's cel shaded. And there's bad voice acting, and the length is about whatever you can handle before you turn the fucking thing off. Now, as I'm sure everybody's aware, I base my games on sort of a buy, wait for a sale, rent, or crush the disc up and feed it to your enemy rating scale. This is a don't buy, don't touch, don't rent, don't give to a friend. It's basically digital gonorrhea. Not that there isn't anything redeemable within the game, but they're not enough to get you past the bad choices inside. And it's like a drunken night when you know some shit was said, some stuff was done, and much of it you never want to remember again. I never want to remember Dark. This is made even more painful by the fact that you could tell that they were actually trying to make a good game. But it's like throwing 20 ingredients into a blender and hoping a fucking cake just pops out. That's not how games are made. So I'm relatively sure you guys, even if you hated this review, enjoyed it more than I enjoyed the game. So this is Carrick from Angry Centaur saying, peace out, bitches. That cop can't even turn his fucking light on and off without a problem. Oh, Jesus. Look, I'm right behind you. Look, I'm right in front of you. God damn. My God, the button for feeding just keeps resetting. Awesome. Good camera work. Always good camera work. Oh, look. I'm right beside you. It feels like this game is sucking my soul dry. Look, guys, shoot me. I'm right in front of you. Nah, or don't.